Polymarket unicorn bets are going to help you convert $100 into 100,000 US dollars in under 3 months. If you do not really believe in such a strategy, let me give you a practical example. For example, right, we have the up and the down shares in this particular case. Did you know that if we happen to be right and we place down shares, and for whatever reasons, due to the fact that we've got a very well pre-calculated notion and we've got a hypothesis that the price is going to beat this particular price point in the next 5 hours, and if we take this trade, do you know that we can be able to multiply our $82 by over a factor of 10? For example, $82, if you end up winning this particular prediction, you end up making $1,409, which is literally over a 10x. So if you are able to execute this meticulously, you are theoretically able to turn a few dollars into a whole lot. You only need 3 of such trades in order for you to really convert $100 into a lot of money. What if I told you that there is a way to accurately predict on Polymarket if the price of Bitcoin is going to go up or down? It doesn't really matter whether you are trading the 15-minute, the 1 hour, the 4 hourly, or even the daily time frame. Our group contains information which is going to be relevant to you if you want to sort of, accurately trade. And when it comes to market contracts, we obviously share the best entry levels. We give you technical analysis. We use sophisticated arbitrage bots and also AI in order for us to make sure that our accuracy as far as these prediction markets are concerned are always top notch. Feel free to join us right now. The link is going to be in the description. Did I grab your attention? If I did, then you have to watch the entire episode. It's going to be roughly around 20 minutes to about 45, and this is life-changing strategy. If I were you, if I had to sit down for about 45 minutes in order for me to turn $100 into 100,000 US dollars, I would do that over and over and over again. Ladies and gentlemen, I am your designated driver for this particular journey. I go by the name of Muna, that is M-U-N-A, Muna, and it's a pleasure seeing you right over here. Anyhow, what we're going to be concentrating on today is Polymarket unicorn bet strategy, and we're going to be incorporating a lot of stuff. So grab your paper, grab your books, grab your coffee. We're going to be incorporating the Wyckoff distribution schematic. This is a trading ideology that really plays out from a great scheme of things, due to the fact that you are able to identify accumulation phases of a market and distribution areas in a market. And this is one of the reasons why this particular structure and hypothesis is going to help you understand and pick out the unicorn bets. Now remember, a unicorn is something that is rare. There's a few people who've been able to witness unicorns, especially when they are high on a lot of substances that we're not going to get into. But however, unicorns do exist, especially when it comes to trading. Let me explain to you using a practical example, because a lot of you might be thinking I'm talking a lot of nonsense and you guys do not really believe in such type of strategies. For example, a few weeks ago on the 4th of October, if you guys were trading this Wyckoff schematic, distribution schematic, this particular market structure that you're seeing is a Wyckoff schematic. If you placed a trade on Polymarket during this particular period between the 4th of October to the 7th of October, it took about 3 days for you to plan this particular unicorn strategy, unicorn bet strategy. And if you did this, you would have obviously ended up making a whole lot of money. And this is one of the reasons why I really want to get into the Wyckoff distribution and accumulation phase, because you need to understand the backbone of what really triggers prices to go up and down, and what really influences accumulation and distribution. Now, before we jump into that, right, one thing that we have to understand is the anatomy of the unicorn bet strategy. So basically, you have to be able to identify the catalyst. The unicorn bet hinges on, let me increase that so that you can say it properly. So identifying the catalyst, the unicorn bet hinges on finding events with an extremely low perceived probability, but a significantly higher actual probability. So this is a matter of perception. One thing that you have to be very good at, especially when it comes to prediction markets, is you have to identify and understand how the majority of people are thinking. So there's actual perceived probability and actual realistic probability. Let me give you a practical example. When the price is going up, right, there's always this perception that the price is going to continue going up and up. Remember when we were trading at 126,000 US dollars per BTC, right? The perception at that particular time was, okay, the price of Bitcoin is going to go to 140, eventually 200,000 US dollars, eventually 250,000 US dollars. Therefore, the general notion was the price is going to go higher and higher. So your strategy is to pinpoint levels and areas in the market where the probability is going to shift and you're going to be able to benefit. Okay, so the reason why I really wanted to bring perceived probability versus actual probability is it's going to affect the prices of the up shares and the down shares. By the way, I'm not saying go take out this trade because I'm just giving it for illustration purposes, because if you look at the down shares, they've got more return on investment if you happen to be right. And this is one of the reasons why it's very important for us to understand the concept of low perceived probability but a highly significant probability. Okay, the staged accumulation is not one big bet where we will outline a multi-stage approach, escalating stakes as probabilities shift and market sentiment catches up. So in order for you to really flip and make a lot of money using a short amount of money, a small amount of money, right, you need to be ahead of the curve, and you need to really be about your technical analysis. You need to be a master of this, because that's the only way you're going to be able to have to sort of beat everybody else to catching up with the sentiment. Okay, so in terms of execution and the exit, knowing when to walk away is crucial, and knowing when to implement it. So the key factors that I really want you to consider are low perceived probability, which have a significantly higher actual probability. So how are you going to be able to use a low perceived probability which is disguised as an actual high probability? You have to look at the schematics. You have to understand the Wyckoff distribution and accumulation phases, just like I pinpointed you right over there in this particular illustration of what happened with the price of Bitcoin. I can guarantee you that at these high levels right over here, the perceived probability was very low, but that probability turned out to be right, because it only took about 2 to 3 days for your reality to come to fruition. Like if you go in here, it took maximum about 2 to about 4 days if you did everything right. Okay, so anyhow, the other important execution that you need to understand is you do not take one big bet, you scale in. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to highlight the aspect of understanding what time frame to get in. Remember, on my YouTube channel, I constantly preach about the daily and the weekly time frame. So in order for you to catch the unicorn bet, you mostly rely on time, enough time that is to vindicate you. A day is going to be a short period of time, and this is one of the reasons why you have to go for the weekly prediction markets as far as Bitcoin is concerned. And this is one of the reasons why you're going to be able to execute it gradually. So if you look at the prediction markets on the weekly time frame, right, you have these types of scenarios where you are given options. For example, today is the last day, right? It says so we've got about 5 hours in order for this prediction market window period to come to a halt. And if you take a look at the predictions right over here, the people who won are the ones that were betting for the price of Bitcoin, you know, to be above a certain value on December 27th. So these guys were betting for the price to be above 84,000 and 86,000. Okay, so the people who won are the people that had two values that are close to the current price. If you look at the current price, it's around 87,000 US dollars. So the people who won this particular bet are the people that were betting for the price to be close, which is around 84,000, and the people that were betting for the price, you know, to be close to the second highest position, which is 84,000 and 86,000. So if you put a bet on 84,000 US dollars, you obviously won a lot of money. If you put it above 86,000 US dollars, you won a lot of money as well. So this is one of the reasons why, in order for you to catch up with unicorn bets, number one, you have to look at a time frame. The easiest and the safest time frame that you are going to execute this type of bet is it's going to be on a weekly time frame. You can still do it on a 24-hour basis, but that's going to be very dicey for you because you don't really have that, leg room, the wiggle room for the prices to sort of fluctuate and just basically weak in all directions. So this is one of the reasons why they're going to go for the highest time frame, which is a daily time frame and also a monthly time frame. However, a monthly time frame is just too long of a period, and it's not really as accurate. So if you're looking for unicorn bets, these are bets that are going to be able to like flip by over a factor of 10. You go for the weekly time frame. Okay, cool. So now how do you execute? I'm not really going to dive deep into the Wyckoff phases because, as you can see, there's different phases. You know, there's a markup phase, there's phase A, phase B, phase C, phase D, and phase E. First of all, the first thing that you have to identify is what type of trend are you dealing with. Okay, for example, let's look at what previously happened. So during this particular phase, right, we had an uptrend. So you had to look for a distribution schematic, and this is what happened. This was a distribution schematic and it fell. So at this particular moment of the trading time frame that we're looking at, right, this current action that we are in, what type of Wyckoff schematic is it? Is it an accumulation schematic where if it's an accumulation schematic, the price of Bitcoin is going to push up to the upside, or is it a redistribution? Okay, if it is a redistribution, then the price is going to continue towards the downside. So I'm asking you this question based on where we are coming from. We are having a distribution schematic right over here. This was after an accumulation schematic right over here. We pushed up and we had a distribution schematic. And if you also look at it from a grand scheme of thing, right, we are right over here. So this looks like reaccumulation, then we pushed up and we had a distribution, and now we are having either a reaccumulation or a distribution. So that is a question that we are supposed to figure out. Granted, that is the case, right? If you do not really want to get analysis paralysis, forget about everything else. Consider the trading action which is happening in this particular instance, and are you able to predict and get the unicorn bet right? So one thing that I can tell you for a fact is we're obviously going to test lower prices. We're definitely going to go to about 84,000 US dollars, and eventually we're going to crack and go to about 80,000 US dollars. So one thing that we know for a fact is the price is going to go lower sooner or later to about 84,000, 82,000, and eventually 80,000. So within this particular time frame, within now and the next probably couple of weeks, we're going to have 3 opportunities of unicorn bets that we can take. So now our ultimate goal is to figure out, according to the schematic that we're experiencing, the ultimate level to get in. So if you look at a distribution schematic, right, the only area where you are going to be able to grab a unicorn bet is this particular spring right over here, this particular aspect of the market. And if we bring it back right to the previous experience, right, you can easily see that this was the unicorn bet arena. This is where you could have only taken it. So now that you are able to understand where these bets are bound to be found, it's going to be easy for you to go after them, because number one, you are able to identify what type of a market structure you're dealing with and how you're supposed to approach it. And remember what we spoke about, right? Low perceived probability that turns out to be actual probability is the biggest strength that you're going to have, especially as somebody who trades prediction markets. I can tell you for a fact, if you are betting on prediction markets on cryptocurrency on Polymarket, if you're doing it on a daily basis as a trader, you're going to get eaten up like crazy. You do not want to be trading on a daily basis or on an hourly basis. The smartest thing that you can do is you take prediction bets on a weekly time frame. If you take it on a weekly time frame, you're going to avoid analysis paralysis and the rewards if you get it right, if you play the game right, if you follow this particular execution strategy, you're going to be able to get in and win especially big. So anyhow, moving on, prediction market mechanics and leverage, how Polymarket works, and the other thing that you need to understand is the skill set required. Okay, the skill set required is mostly understanding, like we talked about, right, the Wyckoff schematics distribution. So what I would advise you to do is just search Wyckoff schematics and be able to identify and plot them. So in my private group, right, we've been able to plot the Wyckoff schematic as it is happening right over here. So we've got our main support, which is around 85,000 US dollars. We've got our main different phases of the markets as indicated right over here. And moreover, we are dealing with a redistribution phase, so it's easy for us to sort of understand what we are dealing with. So yeah, let me show you. So right over here, we distribution area, accumulation area. So you have the mark down, so we are expecting a mark down, and the price is definitely going to end up pushing down. So this is obviously a redistribution schematic that we are dealing with. So if you decipher it in bits and smaller pieces, you are going to be able to identify the areas where you can get in and where you can place a unicorn bet. So right over here, okay, this area, boom, this was a unicorn bet that you could have taken. That's unicorn bet number one. Imagine you were able to have such amounts of odds. So let's go to the daily time frame. Let's theoretically say that you had such a schematic on a unicorn bet, and you were able to flip H2000, and you were able to make 1,479. The reason you did that is because you had low perceived probability that was actual probability, and this is one of the reasons why you were able to pinpoint that, okay, a unicorn bet opportunity is coming through. And if you look at this level, right, definitely a Wyckoff distribution phase. And then yesterday we also had another unicorn bet right over here, which I didn't honestly participate in. I didn't take that. So in this particular trading environment, you know, for the past couple of days, we've had 2 unicorn bets. So in a period of about 2 weeks, right? Each and every week, you're able to have a minimum of 2 unicorn bets, especially on BTC. Okay, so let's theoretically say that you are able to turn H2000 into 1479 on one trade, and then the next trade you're able to get this whole amount. Let's say 1400 and let me do that. 1472. The next amount of money that you can be able to make if you're able to identify a unicorn bet is 19,241, which is absolutely crazy. So from H2000 to 19,241 in 2 trades. However, in order for you to pull it off, understand the Wyckoff distribution, accumulation, and reaccumulation schematics, because they're always there. This right over here, the secret to a unicorn bet is the spring of either an accumulation or a distribution Wyckoff schematic. Right over here is always a unicorn bet. So if you go back to BTC, this was a spring. This one right over here was a spring. It was a clear spring. It was your unicorn bet. If you guys would really love me to dive deep into the Wyckoff schematic, I can obviously do a breakdown of this type of trading. I'm sure it's going to significantly help you. But today I just wanted to open your eyes on how to be able to play the prediction markets, especially when it comes to identifying of unicorn bets. So now that you understand this and you see the probability and the strategic positioning that you can take advantage of, especially when it comes to different market cycles, then you understand that you can make a lot of money. So what I would like you to do this, especially if you watched up to the very end and if you were able to comprehend and get the idea that I'm trying to relay to you, what I want you to do right now is join our private trading group. However, you know, when people join a private trading group, they expect, you know, to be making money all the time. But when it comes to the real good, juicy opportunities, right, they barely happen. You need to have a lot of precision and a lot of patience. And hopefully, now that you guys understand how to identify unicorn bets using Wyckoff schematics, you're going to be able to understand that even if you join a trading group, in order for you to get the most out of it, you need specific market conditions, because not every market conditions require you to trade, because if you overtrade, you end up losing your capital. So one of the reasons why I created this group is I want to have like-minded people who are equally accumulating knowledge so that we can, you know, make ourselves better. And number 2 is just for me to help out people. You understand? And this is one of the reasons why if you join our group, be very patient. I'm always there. I'm always giving you a breakdown of what is happening. But in order for us to catch a unicorn bet, and when I give you the buy signals, I give you a rating. I say this is a 10 out of 10 probability. This is a 5 out of 10. So you can be able to tell from my conviction based on, you know, like how I disclose the trade and how we're going to trade. And this is going to help you manage your risk assessment, and is also going to help you identify and utilize, or rather employ, a specific positioning when it comes to your capital, because not every trade should be treated, or rather treated equally, you know. So when it comes to the buy signals that I'm going to be giving you, I'm going to give you different ratings so that you can understand whether this is a risky trade, it's an unrisky trade, and whether you should go heavy on it or just go with the 5% of your portfolio, and so on and so forth. So this is mostly what I wanted to talk about. So if you guys had a blast, and if you guys eyes have been opened to the fact that you've got unicorn opportunities in the market. Now the question is, are you able to identify them and execute them? Okay, so yeah, join the trading group right now. You guys are going to be on your way to making 100,000 US dollars with a very little amount of money. All the links are going to be in the description. Subscribe, and please let me know in the comment section below if you've got any other questions for me.